New polling out of Iowa shows Sanders up 9, Warren down 11, and Klobuchar up 9. anyway, let's take a look at this new Emerson poll and see what it has to say. So it is an interval of 5.4%, and it was taken between December 7th and December 10th. And obviously, as always, I'm going to link this poll down in the description if you want to check out the numbers for yourself after you finish watching this video. So we've got Biden at 23, Sanders at 22, Buttigieg at 18, Warren 12, Klobuchar 10, Booker 4, Steyer 3, Bloomberg 2, Yang 2, and Gabbard 2 as well. This is pretty big. So the last Emerson poll, as you see here from Iowa, was out in October. So a lot has changed since then. Warren's serious downward slide, as I mentioned, down 11 points. So it does seem like Sanders probably picked up quite a bit of that. With Sanders pretty big gain. Somehow Klobuchar is seeing a serious jump here. What I will say about Klobuchar is that since she is a Midwestern senator from the neighboring state of Minnesota, if Klobuchar cannot show up very well in Iowa, that's it. She's done for. She's going to have to drop out. It's going to look really bad for her. I mean, she's pitching herself as the Midwestern gal who's going to show everyone how it's done, how to win the Midwest. So if she can at least do well, she's absolutely done for. So I know that she's been spending pretty well and building out her infrastructure in Iowa, so that's probably a result of that, but we'll definitely have to see if it's an outlier. My guess is that it's probably a bit of an outlier, because there is, 10% for Klobuchar is pretty crazy. So also Sanders, unsurprisingly, leading among those under 50 with 32% support, followed by Warren at 16, Buttigieg 13, Biden 11, Klobuchar at 8% among those under 50. They are probably all 49 years old. Among those 50 and older, unsurprisingly, Biden leading at 36, Buttigieg 23, Klobuchar 13, Sanders 11, Warren 8. And the interesting thing I wanted to show you real quick was about second choice voters. So let me zoom that in for you. So second choice voters here. Second choice voters for Sanders supporters, obviously, unsurprisingly, Warren. Now, this is the interesting part. So Warren has 51% of her supporters going for Sanders as second choice, and second choice is actually really important in Iowa because since it's a caucus, if you don't make that basic threshold of, I believe, 15%, you can basically go vote for someone else. And so I think that's actually really going to help Sanders. You see, it would be unsurprising if Yang supporters and Gabbard supporters also wouldn't go over to Sanders. And given that it's a caucus, my guess is Yang and Gabbard supporters, and obviously Sanders supporters as well, are probably going to outperform the polls a little bit in the caucus states as Sanders did last year. So I really wouldn't be too surprised if Sanders really pulls it out in Iowa. I think that this poll is really showing that possibility. I mean, overall, it does seem as though it is pretty much everyone's game, anyone's game in Iowa right now. Could go either way, but it's definitely looking really, really good for Sanders. Biden supporters, second supporters are pretty mixed, as well as Buttigieg supporters as well, pretty mixed. So I do think that there's a pretty good chance for Sanders. Now, the next question I want to look at here is which healthcare policy are you most supportive of? So among Democrats, we have a good competition between Medicare for All and public option, with Medicare for All taking the win. Among Republicans, unsurprisingly, they want to keep it the same. And independents are pretty split, with a slight edge to unsure and keeping it the same. Now, the thing about this Medicare for All here is if you actually ask voters independently, like, do you support Medicare for All, those numbers can go as high as 70 or even 80%. But unsurprisingly, if you ask them to sort of pick between Medicare for All and public option, Medicare for All does pull it out, but public option is still competitive with it. The next thing I wanted to show you really quickly is, I think this is pretty interesting. So this is also out of that Emerson polling. Who is supporting Medicare for All? What groups? Unsurprisingly, those who are on their parents' plans are really supportive of Medicare for All, although that's almost certainly just because of the age breakdown of Sanders supporters. And also here, those who are already on Medicare and Medicaid are pretty supportive. I mean, you can see here that's the largest group for them, that they are very supportive of Medicare for All. Now, also fairly supportive of keeping it as it is. That's probably because of their age. um those who are on Medicare and Medicaid are pretty old, so a big portion of those are just in favor of keeping it as it is, because a lot of those are more centrist voters. And here, unsurprisingly, those who have purchased their own plan are, of course, more likely to be in favor of a public option. um, and those who don't know what their coverage is. This number, I'm honestly not sure what to make of it. If you know, definitely let me know in the comments or something. Um, those who don't know what their insurance coverage is are very in favor of a public option. Not quite sure what to make of that number. So last thing I quickly wanted to show you in this poll. So Donald Trump leads all potential Democratic opponents in head-to-head matchups in Iowa, with the president leads Buttigieg, with Buttigieg being the closest here. Buttigieg beating it out 46 to Buttigieg losing 46 to 45 against Biden 49-45, and Sanders and Warren surprisingly actually doing the worst, where he leads by 50 to 43. But this is one poll, and previously in the last poll, Sanders actually was the only one who was pulling it out, beating Trump in Iowa. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how that goes. We know Buttigieg is probably doing well against the president, because Buttigieg has been pouring millions of dollars in ads into Iowa. So he's probably competitive with Donald Trump for that reason. We'll just have to see where those numbers shift. So overall, really interesting poll. Things are shaping up. So the last thing I wanted to quickly bring up is that Andrew Yang officially, in a Quinnipiac poll, so not this Emerson poll, officially qualified for the 6th Democratic debate in Los Angeles this December. So, really good news for Yang. And I think that this really does speak to the new political era that we're in. That, I mean, he beat out, technically we still have to wait till midnight tomorrow, Thursday. Midnight Thursday is the cutoff for applying, but it looks like Booker's not going to make it. So, he definitely beat out Kamala Harris, a sitting senator from California. He beat out Booker. I mean, this guy beat out senators and serious politicians and is still competitive, beyond the typical establishment type. So I think that this really shows that, the new way for politicians to actually be competitive and to access thing. And look, you can agree or disagree with Andrew Yang. He has a real theory of the case. He has real issues that he's talking about, and he has real opinions about them. He's not sitting here triangulating, trying to get to the best position. So, I just wanted to give those kudos to Andrew Yang and his team, and I look forward to seeing him on the debate stage.